Welcome to my channel. Try to hear the latest story.
At 1:47 p.m., my brother looked at me and whispered, "Dude, check her Instagram." Now, she'd blocked me, but not the venue. I played the story clip. She was in a car, laughing, and sitting next to someone I recognized instantly. I was standing just off stage at the venue, tying my cufflinks for the third time. The sun outside was brutal, bouncing off the white stone terrace like it wanted to blind everyone. The ceremony wasn't set to start for another hour and a half, but guests were already drifting in, sweating into their suits, fanning themselves with printed programs. I kept glancing at the mirror, trying to convince myself I looked calm. I didn't. My brother, Jack, leaned into the room, phone in hand, mouth tight. He didn't even greet me. "Dude," he said under his breath, stepping close. "Check her Instagram." Now, I stared at him. "She blocked me, remember?" He nodded. "Yeah, but not the venue's account." I didn't ask how he knew that. I just grabbed my phone, opened the venue's page, and tapped the story circle. It buffered for a second. Then it played. There she was, Lisa, in the back seat of a car. Her makeup was done. Her hair looked freshly styled. She was laughing, tossing her head back, her veil clipped to the seatbelt like some kind of joke. She turned her head, and then I saw him. The guy next to her had his arm resting casually behind her shoulders. He was leaning in close, smirking at the camera. My heart thudded once. I knew that face. I hadn't seen it in months, but it was burned in my memory from the only argument Lisa and I had that nearly ended the relationship. Nick, her ex. He was supposed to be living in Austin. That's what she said the last time his name ever came up. She had said it was over long ago, that she hadn't spoken to him since they broke up, that he was irrelevant. I replayed the story. The timestamp said it had been uploaded 20 minutes ago. Jack was watching me. That looked familiar. I didn't answer. My chest felt tight, like my lungs had decided to stop working properly. My legs were rooted to the floor. "She told me she was at the salon," I finally said. Jack's brow twitched. "She said that this morning?" "Yeah." Said her hair appointment got pushed back. Her stylist needed more time. "She left at noon." "And that video's from what? 1:25? I nodded. The timeline wasn't just suspicious. It was impossible to ignore. Jack held up his phone again. "Want me to call her?" I shook my head slowly. "No, not yet. Let me think." I stepped into the hallway, away from the dressing room, and called one person I trusted more than anyone outside of family. Brent, one of my groomsmen. His cousin, Alan, was supposed to be driving the bridal car today. Brent picked up fast. "Yo, what's up? Can you ask Alan if he picked Lisa up today? For the bridal arrival?" A pause. "Hold on." The line went quiet for maybe 30 seconds. Then Brent came back on. "Yeah, weird. Alan says she never showed up. Said he was parked at the house, waiting outside. A black BMW pulled up right behind him around noon. She walked right past him and got into that car instead." My fingers clenched around the phone. "Did he see the driver?" "No. Tinted windows." "Of course." I ended the call, walked further away, out to the side garden where no one was watching. The venue staff were wheeling crates of champagne across the lawn. A few early guests were taking selfies under the flower arch. It looked like a wedding, but it didn't feel like one anymore. I opened the app Lisa and I had used to coordinate all the planning, appointments, lists, schedules, addresses. We had synced locations for weeks, mostly to avoid losing each other during errands. I tapped her icon. It was grayed out, but the last ping showed her at a hotel 4 miles from here. Checked in at 12:43 p.m. Same hotel we'd blocked rooms at for out-of-town guests. Not her salon. Not even close. I went back inside. Jack was pacing the hall. "She back yet?" I asked. "Nope." "What time is she supposed to arrive?" "Technically now. Makeup's done early, photographers setting up inside." I nodded slowly. "Let me check the bookings." "What bookings?" I walked straight into the venue coordinator's room. A laptop sat open behind the desk, with the booking software still pulled up. The woman who managed the place, Sasha, was out organizing tables. I leaned over the screen. One unregistered room under our wedding block. Not in our guest list. Reserved under the name N. Randall. Nick's full name was Nick Randall. No ID required for group block rooms. It had been booked yesterday. Last minute. I didn't touch anything else. Just walked out. Jack followed. "What are you going to do?" I didn't have an answer. Not yet. I didn't want to be the guy who pulled a scene right before vows. I didn't want this turning into some viral disaster. But I also couldn't go forward. Not like this. "I need confirmation," I said. Jack pulled out his phone. "How?" "Do me a favor," I said. "Wait near the back lot. If you see a black BMW with Texas plates show up, don't stop her. Just see who gets out." He nodded without another word and walked off. Inside the main hall, the music test was starting. Staff were lighting candles, running final sound checks. The guests were multiplying. I stood by the side exit, heart thudding. Every time a door opened, I looked. Then my phone buzzed again. Jack had sent a photo. No message, just a picture. Black BMW. Pulled into the back lot. Nick stepping out. Alone. But the passenger door was just swinging shut. The photo caught it mid-close. A white heel was visible just behind the doorframe. Lisa. She had just arrived. With him. Not from the salon. Not from any appointment. Just from wherever they had gone together. And she was walking into our wedding like nothing had happened. The moment I saw that photo, everything around me blurred. I didn't storm out. I didn't confront her. I didn't even move at first. I just stood there by the side exit, staring at Jack's message until my screen dimmed from inactivity. Lisa had arrived. She was with Nick. They weren't trying to hide it. The staff inside the venue were still walking around with clipboards and earpieces. Guests were laughing near the cocktail area, unaware. The string quartet was doing a sound check near the front arbor. Everything looked polished and serene. But my wedding wasn't about to start. Not the way she thought it would. I made my way to the edge of the venue grounds and called Brent again. This time I wasn't asking about the bridal car. I needed to know who had seen Lisa at the hotel. He was already on it. One of our guests, Brent's girlfriend, had gone to the hotel early to grab makeup supplies she left in her car. She confirmed seeing Lisa's dress bag being carried through the back entrance earlier. Lisa had smiled at her and waved like everything was normal. But she wasn't alone. She didn't recognize the guy with Lisa until Brent showed her Nick's photo. Then she nodded. Lisa hadn't been rushed. She wasn't getting her hair done. She wasn't running late. She had been checked in, comfortable, laughing. And now she was inside the bridal suite of this venue, pretending the last 2 hours hadn't happened. I still hadn't spoken to her. I didn't want to. Not yet. I wanted to see what she would do, what kind of lie she'd offer. I wanted to give her just enough rope. The photographer came looking for me, asking if I was ready for first-look shots. I said we'd wait until after the ceremony. He looked confused but nodded. That bought me more time. I walked toward the venue's admin office again and asked Sasha, the coordinator, for something simple. I needed the backup copy of the guest list. She handed it over. I circled 2 names, Nick Randall and Lisa Porter. I asked her if the front staff could notify me if either checked in or tried to approach the ballroom separately. She hesitated but agreed, sensing something was off. Then I called Jack. He was still in the parking lot. I told him to stay in position, but if Nick tried to leave, he should stall him with any excuse. 10 minutes later, Lisa walked in through the back with 2 of her bridesmaids. Her hair was perfectly styled. She was laughing, smiling like nothing was wrong. One of the staff offered her champagne, and she took it. She even turned to someone and mentioned how excited she was for the pictures. I stayed where I was, in a separate corridor by the vendor entrance. I didn't want to see her yet. I didn't want her to see me calm. Because I wasn't. Brent met me in the side hallway and asked what the plan was. I told him I wasn't canceling anything yet. Not the ceremony. Not the reception. But I was going to rearrange the order of events. I sent him to speak with Sasha again and quietly inform her that speeches might be moved up. I didn't give a reason. Just told him to make sure the mic was hot and the projector screen was ready. Meanwhile, I opened my phone again and started compiling. The story clip. The hotel booking under Nick's name. A timestamp screenshot of Lisa's location history. I stitched them together with screen recording tools. I didn't speak over the footage. I didn't add music. Just raw clips, in chronological order. Then I saved it to my files. I wasn't planning on making a scene in front of guests. I was planning to show something undeniable. But there was one more piece missing. I needed to confirm that Lisa had lied to more than just me. So I sent a message to her maid of honor, Jen. I told her that Lisa had just told me she'd been at the salon for most of the day and wanted to know if Jen had been with her. She replied almost immediately. Said Lisa had told the bridesmaids she had gone for a quick walk to clear her head, and no one had seen her for most of the early afternoon. So Lisa had created 2 different stories, one for me, one for them. Now everyone would hear the same one. At that point, Jack texted that Nick was still in the lot, pacing near his car. I had one last idea. I asked Sasha to delay the ceremony by 20 minutes, citing a makeup smudge issue with Lisa. She agreed and made a quiet announcement to the guests. Then I slipped into the AV room and connected my phone to the projector. I told the staff to cue it for the toast segment and under no circumstance to skip it if it started playing. With everything in place, I walked back toward the main prep hall. Lisa was standing by the mirror, adjusting her earrings. She turned when she saw me. She looked relaxed, maybe even proud. I just asked if we could talk in private before the ceremony. She agreed, still smiling. We stepped into a side room. I asked her how her afternoon had been. She said hectic. Full of calls. Makeup delays. I didn't call her out. I didn't show her anything. I just looked her in the eye and said she looked beautiful. She softened. Told me she loved me. Said she couldn't wait to start our life together. She even leaned in to kiss me. I let her. Then I said I'd meet her out by the arbor when it was time. She left with a grin. I stayed behind and texted Brent one word. Ready. The music began to play. The guests rose. And the screen behind them, set for family slideshow, flickered to life. The moment the screen flickered on, most of the guests assumed it was part of the scheduled slideshow. A few turned, confused, but smiled politely. Lisa's parents were still fussing with flower arrangements. Her bridesmaids were adjusting their dresses. Jack stood in the back corner, arms folded, already watching the screen. The venue staff, as instructed, didn't announce anything. They just let the footage roll. It started with the Instagram story, the one Lisa had been tagged in on the venue's account. No commentary, just a silent reel of her laughing in a car, hair pinned up, makeup flawless, veil draped carelessly. Then came the shot of Nick beside her, just before he turned to the camera with a smirk. The timestamp hovered at the top corner. It had been filmed an hour and 20 minutes before she returned. The image held just long enough for people to murmur. A few heads turned toward the bridal suite. Then the next clip started. It showed a reservation confirmation from the Wedding Block Hotel, under Nick's name. Room 426. Booked the day before the wedding. Check-in time matched the gap when Lisa said she was at her appointment. Some guests gasped audibly. Others pulled out their phones. Still no one said a word. The next frame? Lisa's shared location history, synced through the wedding planner app. Last pinged at the hotel entrance, precisely when the reservation was used. And then, the final image, Lisa and Nick stepping out of the black BMW, captured through Jack's phone. The frame froze on Lisa's heel as she exited the car. That was where the video stopped. No dramatic message. No captions. No explanations. The screen went black. For a few seconds, no one moved. No one spoke. Then the room cracked. Chairs scraped. Guests muttered to each other. Someone near the front turned around in their seat and looked toward Lisa's father, whose face had gone pale. The silence broke fully when Jen, the maid of honor, stood up and stormed out. One of the bridesmaids chased after her. Someone else asked if this was a prank. Lisa didn't show herself immediately, but I knew where she was. I stayed in the back, watching the panic ripple. Jack came up beside me, nodded once. He didn't need to say anything. Then the door to the bridal suite slammed open. Lisa stepped into the hallway, still in her dress, heels clicking sharply against the tile. Her face was flushed. She locked eyes with me across the corridor. Her expression flickered between disbelief and rage. I didn't flinch. She marched toward me, ignoring the guests now turning their attention to her. Without asking, she grabbed my arm and yanked me into the nearest private room, a supply closet we had used earlier to store decorations. As soon as the door shut, her voice dropped. She asked how I found out. She asked if it was Jack. She asked if I had followed her. I didn't answer. She kept pacing, grabbing at her hair, trying to come up with something that resembled an explanation. She said it didn't mean anything. She said she was overwhelmed. She said Nick had just shown up, unannounced. She lied again, to my face. So I asked her one thing, why she booked a hotel room under his name. That's when she stopped talking. Her mouth hung open, words caught somewhere between panic and shame. Then her tone shifted. She accused me of humiliating her. She said the guests would never forget what I did. I didn't argue. I told her it wasn't about guests. It was about seeing who she really was. And I already had. I opened the door and walked out. Lisa didn't follow immediately. Outside, her family was beginning to panic. Her mother was sitting down, fanning herself furiously. Her father was arguing with the venue staff about what would happen next. I told them there would be no ceremony. That was all I said. Brent gathered the groomsmen and told them to start clearing out the gifts. Jack had already contacted the limo driver and canceled the ride. Everything moved fast. Some guests stayed frozen in place, waiting for someone to say it was all a mistake. But no one did. Lisa eventually stepped outside, still dressed, still shaking. Her father walked up to me, asked what I wanted to say. I told him nothing. He nodded once and turned away. The bridesmaids stood near the floral arch, confused, awkward, whispering. One of them was crying, not for Lisa, but for the collapse of the entire illusion. Meanwhile, Jack walked over to the DJ booth and shut the music off. I stepped onto the platform, microphone in hand. No one asked me to, but I had something short to say. I thanked the guests for coming. Then I apologized to the ones who came in good faith. I told them that some truths are ugly, but hiding them doesn't make them go away. I didn't mention names. I didn't point fingers. I didn't need to. They had already seen it. The screen said everything I couldn't. Lisa was still standing by the corner, her eyes wide, as if she thought I'd changed my mind. But I walked off the stage, left the mic there, told Sasha to cancel everything. No first dance, no toasts, no reception. The food could be donated. The cake could be boxed. The guests were free to go. Jack, without asking, started loading my things into the car. He offered to drive. I didn't stop him. I got into the passenger seat, closed the door, and looked back one last time. Lisa's dress was dragging slightly in the dirt. She was still holding onto the bouquet. Still hoping, maybe. Still trying to salvage what she broke. But it was over, and the video was already spreading. We pulled out of the venue driveway without a word. Jack gripped the wheel, eyes on the road. I leaned back in the seat, jacket unbuttoned, throat dry. The silence wasn't awkward. It was the only thing that made sense. The road ahead blurred under the late afternoon sun. I could still feel the pressure from where Lisa grabbed my wrist. Her nails had left faint crescents in my skin, but that wasn't what stuck. It was her expression, the panic, the calculation, the last-second scramble to twist the story, to twist me. We reached Jack's apartment, and I crashed on his couch. My phone had already lit up with a dozen missed calls. 3 from Lisa, 1 from her father, a handful from blocked numbers I didn't recognize. No voicemails, no apologies, just the sound of desperation piling up silently in my notifications. Jack tossed me a beer and didn't ask anything. He just turned the TV on and let the static of someone else's world distract us from ours. I watched it without watching, but the silence didn't last long. Around 7 p.m., Brent called. He said half the venue was still full of people, standing around like someone had hit pause on their lives. Some guests left. Some stayed, either out of disbelief or because they didn't know what else to do. A few even asked if the ceremony was being rescheduled. It wasn't. Lisa never made an official announcement. She sat in the bridal suite, alone, staring at the walls. Jen had come back to try and talk to her. That didn't last long. 10 minutes later, Jen left in tears. No one knew exactly what Lisa said to her, but Brent heard enough to guess. Lisa claimed she had been confused, that it wasn't what it looked like, that I had misunderstood everything. But people had seen the video. They saw her laughing with Nick. They saw the hotel booking. They saw her heel in the frame of that BMW door. There was no confusion. Lisa's family didn't fight me on the cancellation. Her father looked like he aged 10 years in an hour. Her mother never spoke to anyone after I left. At some point, the caterers were told to shut everything down. Boxes of food were loaded into cars and taken home. The DJ unplugged his setup without saying goodbye. The floral arrangements were dragged outside and dumped near the loading dock. That night, Jack posted the full video clip online. He didn't name names. No faces were shown. But the sequence of events, the timestamps, the receipts, everything was intact. A wedding that didn't happen. A groom who walked. A fiancé who couldn't stop lying, even when caught. It didn't go viral in the internet sense. But it spread. People talk. And the people who needed to see it, did. By the next morning, Lisa had sent me a long message. She didn't apologize. She accused me of ruining her life. Of embarrassing her in front of everyone that mattered. She said I overreacted. Said I should have let her explain. That it was nothing serious. Just a moment of weakness. She even called Jack a snake for recording what he did. I didn't reply. Instead, I forwarded the entire message to her mother. No commentary. No context. Just the raw truth of what Lisa thought about everyone but herself. Later that week, I heard through Brent that Lisa tried to reach out to several of the guests. Most of them ignored her. A few responded, but none of them defended her. Not after what they saw. Not after the way she looked me in the face that afternoon and said everything was fine. Nick vanished. He left the hotel that same night. Someone said he had driven straight to the airport. Maybe she thought he'd stay. Maybe she thought he was part of her future. He wasn't. The venue refunded part of the deposit out of sympathy. Sasha even reached out personally to say how sorry she was. Said she'd never forget how calm I looked as everything collapsed around me. But I wasn't calm. I just knew exactly when to stop pretending. The guests moved on. The vendors moved on. Even Lisa's family, eventually, accepted the silence as their new normal. Lisa? She didn't post for weeks. When she finally did, it was a filtered photo of a beach with a long caption about healing and starting fresh. No comments. No likes from anyone I knew. And me? I didn't feel proud. I didn't feel vindicated. I just felt finished. Not angry. Not broken. Just done pretending that love could be real if you had to keep checking the shadows. The wedding didn't happen. But the truth did. And I left nothing behind. Not the ring. Not the speech. Not the vows she never meant. Just silence. And the sound of heels, caught on camera, stepping into the wrong car. And that's the story. If you're still here, that means you're one of us. So go ahead, hit that subscribe button. I drop new chaos every single day. And trust me, tomorrow's story, it's even worse than this one.